Okay, so one of you was having an issue with the web scraper on a specific website. And so I thought I would throw together a quick video to explain to you all exactly what is going on here. And now at this point, we have used this web scraper for a while. It's fairly robust and it works on most websites. So there are really only two situations where you can run into problems. The first one is when that website is using technology that blocks web scraping. Now, this can be as simple as, ignoring data center IPs or something much more complex. But usually when this is the case, what will happen is inside our interface, when you click crawl website and fetch data, it will simply fail to fetch any websites because our data center IP, the machine that Stammer is primarily running on, it will be completely blocked from making a request to that website. Now, though, let's see what this second situation is. Let's see what happens when we try to access this website. So the crawler is now working. Okay, and as we can see, it's only found one URL, right? So let's take a look at this web page as a human. And as you can see here, there are other URLs here that can be accessed. But what's going on here? Why can't the Stammer web scraper see these other URLs? Well, this is the other situation that I was referring to, when a majority of the site is rendered by JavaScript. If you're not familiar with JavaScript, it is a front-end programming language that allows all the cool interactivity in the browser. So what is happening with this website, and I'm going to show you in just a minute here how you can actually check for this, but what is actually happening here is that when the web scraper, the Stammer web scraper requests this site, it actually gets none of this additional data here, at least none of these links. And let me show you how you can know if this is happening. One way, of course, without having to fully debug this, is it only pulls the main homepage, right? The root homepage and nothing else. That's a good indication that perhaps this site, the majority of it, is being rendered through JavaScript. But if you want to know for sure, one thing you can do is reach out to us via the Discord or open a ticket possibly, and we can try to get to that ASAP when we have time. But I'm going to show you another way that you can debug this. Okay, and so to debug this on your own, the first thing you would need to do is get the actual source code of the web page that would be delivered if you were making a web request programmatically. And the way to do that, because you can't simply visit the page in your browser, right? The browser is going to render that JavaScript, it's going to execute it, and you're going to get what you would see as a human. But what you can use if you're on Mac, and hopefully if you're on Windows, I don't know, maybe there's a tool online that can do this, but what you can use on Mac is wget. And you can simply use the wget command and then usually the URL of the web page, and that will actually get you the source code of that web page as it would be viewed by the Stammer server. And now I actually have the source code of that web page. Let me see if I can drag it into this window here. There we go. Okay, and this is the source code of this web page, right? So let's take a look at this. Now, this is a bunch of JavaScript up here, and then when we get down to the actual page, the actual HTML tags here, let's see, we don't have a lot, right? We've got the body tags here, we've got some containers that have been established, and that's it. Now, this is a great indication right here. This pretty much tells you that a lot of this website is being loaded by JavaScript. Another thing you can do is what the web scraper actually does, right, is it requests the HTML code of a web page, and then it follows all the available links. And so if it's not finding any additional links, we can actually look in here for more links within this domain. And let's see if we actually find any, because I bet we're not going to. Now, let's get this domain in here. I'm going to remove everything else. Okay, so obviously this is the actual URL of that page. Let's see if there's anything else in here. This is inside the JavaScript, but it's still the URL of that page. Still the main URL. This is inside JavaScript, so it wouldn't scrape that. But you get the point here. It's not finding any additional URLs to scrape because, like I said, this web page is just a bit of HTML, and then the rest of it's being delivered via JavaScript. So that is what is going on here. Now, what can you do in this case when the web page is being delivered via JavaScript? Well, let me move this out of the way now. There we go. Okay, so what you can do in this case is if you need to get this content, you can simply visit it in your browser, and then you can use a Chrome extension to get the data you need. Now, of course, you're gonna have to do this manually, right? But there is a very cool Chrome extension that I've used. It is called, come on, Show Page Plain Text. I don't know if you can see that, you probably can't, but if you just Google Show Page Plain Text, it will, and use the extension, it's going to give you the content of that page. Now, of course, in this page, there's not a lot here, right? Even with the JavaScript being rendered, but you could go to the About Us page. We could press it again, and then there's the content on there. So that's one way, right? You can manually, as a human, get the content. Now, you may be wondering, is there a way we could support these pages that are heavy on the JavaScript? And yes, there is a way we could do it, but doing so would cost us money as well. We would most likely have to use a web scraping API in which behind the scenes, they're running a headless version of a browser, basically. And they'd have to charge money for that. That's difficult to maintain. So it would cost us money, and we'd have to pass that on to you, most likely in some type of credits, perhaps messaging credits, or perhaps we would just create some type of credit for JavaScript-based web scraping. But let us know if that's something, if this keeps coming up and you all want the ability to do that. We could certainly do it. Like I said, it would cost credits, but just let us know if that is of interest enough to many of you, because we could possibly add support for that. But that is it. So that is the two situations here. If you attempt to scrape the website with Stammer and it doesn't pull anything, that's a good indication that the site is being blocked and there's not a lot we can do there. If this is a company's website that you are in contact with, you can perhaps ask them, if they can remove that protection from a certain URL so that you can scrape and get the data that you need for them. Otherwise, it's probably the fact that the site is heavy on JavaScript, and so the scraper is not finding those additional URLs to visit because they're only rendered through JavaScript. And in that case, either do it manually as a human or reach out to us and kind of express your interest in us adding that feature and the ability for credits to be used in order to do that. But that is it. Let us know if you have any additional questions on this, and if you ever can't figure out why the site is not being scraped, just open a ticket or reach out to us on Discord.